Trump stated yesterday he is still committed to placing tariffs on Canada starting as early as tomorrow, possibly. Now, we don't know precisely what that could look like, but I do know two things. First, if the president does choose to implement any tariffs against Canada, we're ready with a response, a purposeful, forceful, but reasonable, immediate response. We won't relent until tariffs are removed, and of course, everything is on the table. Part of what this council has been doing is pulling together perspectives from across industries, from across different parts of the country to make sure that anything we do will be fair right across the country, that all Canadians will share in the job of standing up for our interests and, quite frankly, standing up to defend the most successful trading relationship in the world. Of course, I won't sugarcoat it. Our nation could be facing difficult times in the coming days and weeks.
Next up, the very popular and powerful president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, talks about the detailed plan to retaliate against the United States of America. Let's play it.
And we have Plan A, Plan B, Plan C for what the United States government decides. Now, it is very important for the people of Mexico to know that we will always defend the dignity of our people, that we will always go to defend the respect for our sovereignty and the dialogue as equals, as we have always mentioned, without subordination. We will wait, as I have always said, with a cool head, making decisions. We are prepared and maintain this dialogue. Today, the Secretary of Economy is here because it is important to remember the implications it could have. And impose tariffs for the economy of the United States, mainly for the trade agreement of the three countries. For the three countries, for our peoples, but particularly for the economy of the United States.
Next up, our friend Charlie Angus, a member of parliament in Canada. He was in Ottawa on Friday, where he was bringing together political leaders, cultural icons, musicians, chefs, entertainers, you name it, bringing all of Canada together in solidarity against Donald Trump and the United States of America. Here's Charlie Angus. Let's play it.
We are here this morning, my friends, as an unlikely group with leaders from across the political spectrum who've come together with cultural leaders, artists, academics, athletes, labor activists, and Indigenous militant activists. We represent the incredible regions of our beautiful country, and we are here for one reason: our nation, our beloved Canada, is under threat. It is an economic threat, but it's also a threat to our values of decency and inclusion. It's a threat to our sovereignty and our very future as a nation. The threat comes, of course, from the President of the United States, a convicted felon and known predator. He's threatening massive tariffs to try and break us as a people. But the threat is also being driven by the hate algorithms of the oligarchs like Elon Musk. And there is the threat from people in our own country who would sell out our birthright to appease the gangster class from Mar-a-Lago. That is not going to happen.
Next up is Mark Carney, who's looking to be the leader of the Liberal Party and to try to be the next prime minister, former governor of the Bank of England. Here he talks about how tariffs are a no-win for anybody. Play this clip.
Ultimately, the steps that the president is taking against Canada, contemplating, I guess, as well against Mexico, China, others, and threatening the world are going to rebound negatively on the United States. They're going to hit growth. They're going to move up inflation. They're going to raise interest rates. They're going to damage the U.S.'s reputation around the world. I mean, let's be absolutely clear. This is the second time in less than 10 years, less than 8 years, that the United States has, in effect, ripped up a trade agreement.
If there's anything that can be done at all to stop the tariffs, Donald Trump says no, nothing, and then proceeds to lie about the fentanyl deaths in the United States caused by Canada, and caused by Mexico. Let's be very clear. Fentanyl deaths are horrific. It needs to stop. We need to have the strictest penalties possible for those who bring it here. But you know who brings it here the most? Americans. You know who are the consumers of synthetic drugs? Americans. They don't have synthetic drug problems in Mexico or, or in Canada. It's happening here in the United States, and the United States is exporting its guns abroad. Listen to what Trump has to say here. Let's play it.
Mr. President, is there anything China, Canada, and Mexico can do tonight to forestall your implementation of tariffs tomorrow?
No, nothing. Not right now, no.
Not a negotiating tool?
No, it's not. No, it's a pure economic. We have big deficits with, as you know, with all three of them. And in one case, they're sending massive amounts of fentanyl, killing hundreds of thousands of people a year with the fentanyl. And in the other two cases, they're making it possible for this poison to get in, number one. And number two, we have big deficits, and it's something we're doing.
Here's Trump attacking our EU allies, saying that he's absolutely going to impose tariffs. Let's play it.
Well, you're asking me a question, because I'm sure you didn't hear. Am I going to impose tariffs on the European Union? Do you want the truthful answer, or should I give you a political answer? Absolutely.
And you can tell that Donald Trump doesn't even really have a plan here. He's being asked, will the tariffs include Canadian crude? So is Donald Trump going to make the price of gas and oil skyrocket? And Donald Trump's like, I don't know, maybe I may reduce it to 10%. Here, play the clip.
President, will tomorrow's tariffs include oil?
What?
Will tomorrow's tariffs be inclusive of Canadian crude?
I'm probably going to reduce the tariff a little bit on that. We think we're going to bring it down to 10% on the oil. So it's 25% on the Canada side.
While all of this is happening, the oligarchs like Elon Musk are dancing and making a big joke about it. But just take a look at the way the market reacted to this. And folks, it's going to be a bloody market next week, that's for sure. And take a look at this. Donald Trump caused a serious crash in the American auto industry on Friday following the announcement of tariffs against Mexico and Canada. Here's the press secretary for Donald Trump, Caroline Levitt, 27-year-old, entirely inexperienced. Hey, liberals, as she crashes the economy. Donald Trump was asked a very simple question, though. Look, you promised Americans you would try to reduce costs. And then Donald Trump lies and says tariffs don't cause inflation. Okay, they absolutely do cause inflation. Like, that's by their very nature, they're inflationary. The fact that corporations were supportive of this guy or thinking, oh, he may not do what he says he's going to do, it's just utterly ridiculous. But listen in his own words, play the clip.
The European Union has treated us so terribly.
You promised Americans to try to reduce costs, and so many of the products that would be tariffed, when they come into the country, the outgoing country is not paying the tariff. The buyers in the United States pay that, and then that's passed on to consumers in most instances.
Sometimes.
How would you expect to have prices come down if you have such a broad plan for tariffs? And what do you say to the voters who want to see you reduce everyday costs?
Well, let me just tell you that I got elected for a lot of reasons. Number one was the border. Number two was inflation, because I had almost no inflation. And yet I charged hundreds of billions of dollars of tariffs to countries. And think of it, I had almost no inflation, and I took in $600 billion of money from other countries. And tariffs don't cause inflation, they cause success. They cause big success. So we're going to have great success. There could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that. I had that when I negotiated some of the good deals for the farmers. And unfortunately, those deals have been led astray by Biden and his people because they didn't enforce the deals.
Well, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. It's good to see across the world leaders stepping up. Again, you have Macron in France offering to send troops to Greenland against the United States, potential invasion. That's what we're talking about. United States in about 2 weeks, very isolated, as weak as can be. This has helped China. This has helped Russia. The European Union's going to have to form
other sides of social media for many years. Unlike truth, lies and unconcentrated by reality, which means they can corrupted by mixedly interesting defame. In other words, they are optimized by general traffic, which happen to be good for tech companies. Bottom line, Rampel wrote in July 2021, whether out of principle of financial self-interest. Tech executive initially said they were not in the business of taking down concept simple because it was false. Intense blowback followed, along with pressure for tech companies to recognize how their tools were being employed to undermine democracy, stake violence, and general position people brands. They films have since ramped up for fact checking